Hey beauties, morning to you, beautiful people, morning. Alright, beautiful people. So I was listening to DSP Bernard chiding, licensed firearm holders to say that they're cowards because, they don't want to basically help in terms of crime fighting, the fight against crime and violence and so on. Because I guess maybe in his own estimation, when you get a licensed firearm, is really to uphold justice, use when necessary, and so on. I understand where he's coming from, but why I would disagree with him, I wouldn't necessarily chide him, to be honest. I would disagree with him. It's not that people don't the licensed fire. To me, my perspective is that it's not that the licensed firearm holders do not want to assist in terms of crime, the fight against crime and violence and so on. It's that there's too many red tapes. The bureaucracy is too much. And the next thing, them go try help out the police officers, and you go hear, oh, are you a police officer? Is this legal? And horse and cow fat. And they get themselves in some sort of legal ramifications. And because of that, it's going to prove fruitless in their stead. And, may cause them to end up losing their licensed firearm. And they wouldn't want that, especially when it's not a case of their own personal rights being infringed upon. I don't know the whole legalities behind it, but I'm sure that part of you getting a license or firearm is to protect your space, your personal property, your family, and things like that. Not necessarily extended to the wider society, unless you see something in your sphere and you can save a life or two, then it would call for a different situation. So it is not so much maybe the cowardice feeling from the people is not so much fearing the perpetrators, but more, boy, I'm gonna help, I'm gonna get myself in some legal situation, some legal, problems and so on. So I slightly would in a sense disagree with Mr. Bernard, DSP Bernard, where that part is actually concerned. As it relates to him apologizing, there is a saying that I heard Les Brown said, a man convinced against his will remains unconvinced still. And I'm saying that as it relates to the apology, even though he may not necessarily represent JCF, he's still a human being. Maybe, I don't know what he had on. I was actually doing something while listening to the news, and I heard when he was talking about the whole, that they're cowards and so on. I would prefer that. I realized that he had to apologize because he probably was made by the high command and other relevant personnel, authorities to apologize. But maybe if he was to apologize, I would say more apologize on maybe his intent was not to offend. His intent was just saying, we kind of feel a little frustrated, as well as, I'm kind of chiding the licensed firearm holders. But I wasn't saying it to offend you guys, to make you feel like you're nobodies, or you're wasting your time having a licensed firearm, not using it, and so on. And I was listening to him, maybe he spoke with exuberance and passion, but I wouldn't say it was sinister. I didn't get the feeling it was something sinister. I didn't get the feeling it was something negative in the sense of, like he was vilifying the people or it was malevolent. But I would rather they ask them to apologize on the basis of maybe saying my intent was not to offend. My intent was not to say you people are idiots or you're stupid or whatever it is. Something like that. Whatever. I'm just suggesting something. As opposed to the way how he apologized. I didn't mean what I said. Mr. Bernard, you meant what you said, and that's fine. And there is nothing that is wrong with that. It's just that I would say it's just unfortunate, the entire situation, and I can understand where he's coming from because, well, they claim now that they have enough personnel in the JCF. Some still say they don't. When they have a licensed firearm, what are the do's and the don'ts? Not so much as we understand that, in terms of protecting your personal space, your personhood, your property, your family, and all of that. We understand that part of it. As it relates to the wider society, how does a licensed firearm holder play a role? How can they assist, you know, in terms of crime fighting and violent acts and so on? You know, for example, if they were to drive somewhere and see a man beating on a woman, or somebody trying to steal from a woman or steal from somebody, and the police is not around, because oftentimes things happen and police officers are not around. You know, what legal space is open to the licensed firearm holders? You understand what I'm saying, beautiful people? So, as I said, for me, the apology, I figured, I know he would have been forced to apologize by the high command, and I say high command and relevant authorities, you know, because, you know, since they say that he was not, his actions and words was not in keeping with JCF standards and principles. So, and that is why I made the assumption that the high command and obviously relevant authorities, so let's say leave it at relevant authorities, then we tell him to apologize. Has his personal feelings. Maybe, I don't know if he was in his uniform when he said it. Perhaps if he was, you know, probably he should have waited until he was out. I don't know. You know, to say that they're coward and all of that. For me, as I said, the apology would they could have said to him, apologize on the basis of that you were not trying to be offensive in a negative way, to hurt feelings, but really to move them to be more responsive as licensed firearm holders. Alright, so that is my few words as it relates to DSP Bernard's comment regarding licensed firearm holders. Yeah. You know, look into it. Sometimes when people say things, you know, we can look into it to see if what they've said is actually factual, you know. We can look into it and to see if what they've said is actually factual. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share this message and give me your thoughts on the whole situation. What is your view? Alright? Alright, guys. Have a good one.